All right, so it's a chilly day out here in Central Texas, but we're going to do a little bit of range work today. Specifically, I'm going to be working up three very specific things. One of them is that I'm going to be chronographing and testing a 270 load for my Sako Bavarian Carbine, a hunting load that I have with some SST bullets. Next, I'm going to be zeroing in a 308 rifle that is going to be the subject of some future videos because it is a interesting story, and it's a highly modified but also very cheap Amazon gun. And then last, I'm going to be setting up and zeroing in a scope that I'm going to go ahead and review for my 6.5 Grendel that you may have already seen a video on. So I've got my chronograph, I've got all my range stuff, and so we're going to get out there, shoot three different guns, spend some time on the range. I'm the first one here, so I'll have the range all to myself. I love days like that because I can just run around the range and run out and move my chronograph, don't have to wait for ceasefire and all that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend getting a membership to a local outdoor range if you have one near you. It's really worth it. Indoor ranges are great, but they don't get you out to 100 yards usually, and then, you know, it's just, it can only get more complicated from there. That being said, welcome. Before I don't drop my phone, welcome, and let's have a good range. All right, next, this is my Savage model 110S in 308. This is one of my favorite rifles that we've been using because I've learned a lot about amateur gunsmithing with this rifle, learning how to fix and work on stocks, and a lot of the stuff that's on this rifle is based on Amazon parts. So I've learned about trigger adjustment, loading to get the most accurate rounds, learning how to make stocks work, and certain things that don't work and certain things that do work. And I'm going to do a whole workup on this rifle and everything that I've done. This is a Athlon, less than $300 scope. These are $50 rings. This is a $12 or $20 level. A lot of stock stuff in there. So it's a $20 bipod. So there's a lot of cheap stuff in this gun, but it shoots really good. I'll pan over here. It uses a clamp-on muzzle brake, which is really interesting because I haven't had this barrel threaded yet. I'll have it done, but eventually I need to get that going. But this rifle shoots 168 grains, about 2,600 feet per second. So I'll give you a couple of shots with this one. Getting her lined up. Make sure my eye relief is just right. And stop talking. Focus on the squeeze. Woo. Include that. One more. Same deal. Get her level. Make sure that we're lined up inside of where our chronograph wants to be, just so I can get a reading. All right. Same deal. All right. Chronograph's reading just fine. Brass looks dandy. I use a 6-hour brass. We're right at the 2580 to 2610. I know that's not the greatest, but I'm using a non-ideal powder for this 308. But I'm just going to do a couple more verification shots to make sure that we're at exact 100 yard zero, and that's the Savage. Okay. All right, so what I'm doing here is working up some load data for my Sako Bavarian Carbine. Oh, it's one of my favorite rifles. This is my hunting rifle. I might do an expose on this, but I'm going to go ahead and record just the process of taking some of that down. I have my chronograph and a 100 yard target set up here. Right now we're working on a load that is 60.6 grains of H4831. All right, let's do it. This gun has a set trigger, which allows me to have it be basically a hair trigger. Okay, here's my target. Squeeze my front bag to get it set up perfectly. Make sure my eye relief is good. Not bad. My chronograph shows 29:12. Not a huge increase. Now we're going to go ahead and look at our brass. Little cratering of the primer. Everything else looks good. Get round number 2. Shove her in there. Looks like my impact mark is a little bit high and left. Okay. Let's go ahead and line up round number 2. $28.94. Okay. Make sure I have that nice and set. Let's go ahead and have a look at our brass again. Little, not as much cratering. Okay. One more of these. So you notice I've got these a little bit longer than the cantilever is, so I'm loading them at max length. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that's nice and set. I don't want to hit my chronograph, so we're going to back out to 3 power. Make sure that we are dead on and get everything set up. So I don't want to hit the chronograph. As it did show with that one being about 10 feet per second slower, it is a little bit lower on the target. So, okay, here we go, round 3. Let's get her lined up. Squeeze, hold. $29.21. Wow. So we got a 30 feet per second spread in that group. That's not great. And it climbed a little bit higher and left. So I'm going to say I don't think that that's not in a good accuracy node. And I'll make a note on here that says not great with an emoji going like this. All right, so that's kind of what we're doing here with the Bavarian Carbine. All right, so here's our target right here. I started up all the way with this 59.3. As you can see, this is almost the whole mil in the size of this group. We went 59.6. That's not so much of a bad group. Remember, this is 270. 60.0, I had a couple touching in there. Here's where things start to get all right. I had 3 rounds, basically clovering here at 2,900 feet per second. We moved to 60.6. I have 2 rounds and then 1, but that's at kind of the 29, 15-ish range. 61 grains. This is where I had a dud round. My very first reloading dud I've ever had, interesting, but I did have 2 of them touching at right around the 29, 30-ish range. The next one that I have over here is 61.3, and right there, that's a group that's less than a minute at 2950, which is pretty all right. At the next one, I have 61.6, and that group was this one right here, and so that one was not so good. And this is one that actually reached 3,000 at 62, but that's a whole mil wide, so that's over, close to 2 inches. I decided I was going to come back down here and re-zero my 308, and that's a pretty okay group right there. I always have one of these little ones that pulls, but I'm going to keep working on that and make sure that I get that. So I feel good about that one. This is my 2,600 feet per second Savage. Now we're going to go just zero in a couple other things. I'm going to get that Grendel zeroed in, and I may actually wait because that scope just feels really off and the eye relief is weird, but you know, we'll go check up on that a little bit later. Hope everyone's doing good. Continue on the rest of the video. We'll see what we have.